How's it going YouTube? It's your boy YouTube Loaded coming at a new video today. Today's video is going to be a start to finish, beginning to end, complete instructions on how to reload 9mm. I am only going to be showing parts of each step because I'm going to be reloading 50 rounds for myself, so a full ammo box. I will show you guys about 10 rounds of each, so you get a brief breakdown, and that way the video isn't like an hour and a half long, which is normally how long it takes me if I'm going slow to reload 50 rounds of 9mm. So, that being said, what we're going to do first is show you what you need to fully reload. So first, obviously, you're going to need your press, bam. You're going to need some dies, bam. Some brass here, primers, and powder with some bullets, which are currently below the reloading bench. Okay, so first off, you're going to need your brass. You're going to need some clean brass, because if you run dirty brass through your dies, you're going to damage them. So, first we're going to get our decapping and resizing die out, along with a shell holder. I use a Lee die set. They are carbide dies, so there's no need for any lubrication for pistol cartridges. So you're going to see if I can get this a better angle over here so you can actually see what I'm doing. Okay, so first things first, you're going to snap your shell holder in. This is a round specific, so each different cartridge caliber is going to have a different shell holder. What I use here is a quick change bushings, so I don't need to keep changing it in and out every time. You just kind of push it in like so, twist it, and it locks in place. It's already preset. Get some brass, some nice clean brass. Going to put it in here. Run it up all the way. You see the primer drops free, and bam, it drops the primer and it resizes the brass. So I'll go through and do a couple more for you guys to see. Primer in. Now for this, one thing you can do, even though it is pistol brass and it's not very hard to remove the primers and resize it, you can add some case lube. I use Hornady Unique case lube. This stuff is amazing. I do it like every 10th cartridge or so. That way it really speeds up the process, and I don't know if you can see my cat, but there's my cat joining us down there. So that's the first step, is going to be resizing and decapping your brass. Show you one more. Really, it's that simple. Nothing special about it. Just need your decapping die, your resizing die, and your shell holder. Let's move on to the next part, which is going to be flooding the brass and adding the primer. So first, for my Lee single stage press, it has the Lee Auto Prime. There's a nice little setup here. It makes it a lot faster than having priming in a separate part of your reloading process. What you do is you pull these two apart like this. You remove the lid to the other side. Open up your primers. I am using CCI small pistol primers, which are very nice. Really, for pistols, not a huge deal. Grab a knife or something just to cut this tape off. Come on. There we go. So there they are, nice and beautiful. So we're going to do 50 rounds, so we only need 50 primers. So 10, 20, 30, 40, 50. Slide the rest back in. There's 50 right there. And drop them right in. Close it off. So what you want to make sure is you're going to shake this. Make sure you keep this closed. You want all the primer cap, the cups, the anvil side to be facing up. So the silver, or the metal base, which part you're going to be seeing, is going to be facing down. Simple way to do that is just to shake it like I just did. And they should, if they like you, all line up like this. Then what you need to do is put your cap back on, like so. twist to lock in place, and carefully reattach. Then you're going to shake it to get them down in the feed, put them on here. And I got you on this side so you guys can see the actual priming action as it happens. Okay, so I have my flaring die right there in along with the primers in. So the purpose of flaring your pistol brass, since this is a straight wall cartridge, it needs to be flared to accept the bullet. So I already have this preset, so obviously follow your instructions in the reloading die set or your manual. If you guys have any questions about specific setup, I can show you how I do mine, but for the purpose of this video, we're not going to be covering the setup. First thing you're going to do is take your decapped and resized brass, put it in your shell holder, push all the way up, and when you do that, same thing, leave your ram all the way down, push here, and slide across. As you can see, I'll get nice and close, there's a primer in there now. When you do that, you're going to lift the arm back down, feeling it flare, and push in and firmly press to see the primer. And there you go, you have one primed piece of brass. And now to check that it's flared enough, as you can see there's a slight bell top of the case, what you're going to do is, you want the bullet to sit in the case. Now, you don't want it flared too wide, the bullet falls all the way in, or flared too narrow, so when you put it to seat it, it's going to crush the brass. You really have to experiment with it. I did what the die said, and I added a little more, because I do crimp the case at the end to take any extra bell out. So if you can slightly press it and it stays in like so, you're beautiful. Just run that through a couple times, and I'll change you guys to the other side. So you're going to push all the way up, flare the brass, push that, push down, bam. Now this is a very fast process as well. Priming head's a little dirty. Switch to the other side for you guys. Now what I do, when I put my primed cases in, when I resize them, I put them with where the bullet goes, the open side up. When they are primed, I flip them over so the primer's up so I can check the primer seating depth for the bullets, as you can see there. Or I mean for the brass casings. So that way you know they're all seated uniformly, you can just run your fingers across, they're good to go. Another thing is when it comes to putting powder in, you know exactly which ones you've put powder in because they're obviously flipped over. It's that easy to tell. I'll run one more through for you guys. So all the way up, press it in, and beautiful. Let's move on to the next step. Okay, we're back here. We got all 50 brass casings primed and flared. So now what we're going to do is we're going to set up the powder drop, which is the Lee perfect powder measure, and the Lee perfect powder scale, or balanced powder scale, whatever they call it, up to accepting 3.8 grains of tight group. So I'm loading 124 grain projectiles with 3.8 grains tight group. That's going to put me right around, I think it's a very common load for 3-gun competitions because it gives you the right power coefficient if you're going to shoot USPCA or IDPA. Certain speed, certain foot-pound energy is required. It's also just a smooth shooting cartridge. So first, what I'm going to put is, open this up and pour your powder in. Now, using 3.8 grains of tight group really is not much, so you don't need to fill your powder measure all the way up the top. I just put enough in just so I don't need to refill it. Then I leave the actual powder I'm using near it, so I know exactly which powder I have in there if I forget to take care of it earlier. And what you're going to do first is you're going to turn this, so drop it into the powder measure from the hopper, and I just run it a couple times. It's going to get it all filled up, everything in there working nice and good. And take it and dump it out. Now beforehand, I was using 24 grains of benchmark for some 223 hydro loading, so I have to recalibrate it, I have to remeasure it so it spits out 3.8 grams. So the way you do that, on the little left side over here, there's a little tube and turner there. What you're going to do is, you're going to adjust this down until you get the right amount. So what you do, first is you set, unpopular apparently, you set this here to 3.8 grains. If you don't know how to do this, this is kind of complicated, so I'd recommend reading the instructions. Make sure you do it correctly. Get that to your desired weight. What you're going to do, 1 powder throw in there, in the measure. Hook it up there, and we're going to see if that's the right amount. So it looks like that's going to come out actually pretty close, surprisingly. That looks like we're a little bit under. Get you guys a closer view of how that works right there. So that should be directly on that silver line right there. And as you can see, it's just a tad under. So what we're going to do, actually, get you guys back up over here. We're going to dump this out. Adjust this just a smidge. And throw another load. Now this one should be exactly on the 3.8 grains we need. And it looks like this one's coming a little bit low too. So once again, add a little more. Dump it out. Now you're going to keep doing this until you get it exactly where you want it to get. Once you get it there, what I do is I just I throw 3 more loads to make sure those 3 are accurate, and then I just start loading them. So what I'm going to do is, man, I'm popular today. What I'm going to do is I'm going to pause this video, get this all set up, and actually, it looks like we have it perfect. So I'll show you guys there. Right on the line, if not a little bit over, but that's okay. I'm going to take it. So you guys, I'm going to make sure this is exactly right, get everything, and I'm going to start throwing the powder charge for you guys. Okay, I got it dialed in right. So what I do is, I have, like I said before, I have all of them face down, the opening down. That way I know exactly which ones have powder in them, so I don't double charge or do a half charge or something like that. Or just don't even charge it. So first, I'm going to go across the line. I'll show you the first 5, and then I'm going to gun through it. So bam, bam, there you go. You have 3.8 grains of tight group in there. You're going to just keep going across. Now this can go at pretty speed, just make sure you don't actually, as would be a big issue, don't spill any powder. You don't want to be smelling gunpowder on your desk. Now what I do is, for every 10 cases I charge, I dump the last one out into the pan to make sure it is still running correctly. Now you can really gun through it this way. The thing about tight group is it meters very well. I'm trying to keep my arm out of the way, so I'm in a real awkward position doing this. So you guys can see kind of what it looks like. And there we go. There's your first 10. So what I do is, I take this last one with powder in it over to the scale and dump it right in. That'll give me it's a spot check really to make sure everything is looking correctly. So we're going to wait for that to balance out, and it should be right on the money. Now the thing about the scale, it's a decently accurate powder throw, but the scale is very accurate for the money. One of the best in the market actually for a beam scale. Nice thing about beam scales over electronic scales can vary with fluctuations in electricity and electrical fields, while a beam scale is not going to have the issue. I don't know if you guys can see from the back, it is coming out perfect. So, first 10 done. There you go, first 10 done. I'm going to pause it, get everything loaded up. Now, with everything loaded up with powder, one thing I always do and I recommend everyone does before you see a single bullet is you take a flashlight and you go over excuse me, every single brass case with powder, and you make sure every single one of these has powder in it, and not just powder, but the right amount. There's no half loads, there's no double charges. You want to do this because this is the arguably the most important step, I believe. Now everything looks good, powder level is equal in all of them, no double charges, no half charges, which means I can take on to the next step, which is seating the bullet. Now, the problem with checking your powder level, making sure you do it right, you have the right amount of powder is, if you have a double charge, you can risk blowing up your gun. A half charge, you can risk a squib load, a bullet stuck in the barrel, you fire another one, boom, blow up your gun, you lose your hands. This is arguably the most important step of reloading, in my opinion. So next, we are going to transition to loading the bullets. What you're going to need for that is obviously your primed and charged cases. You're going to need a micrometer. I use this one, I got this off Amazon pretty cheap, and it works good enough for me. foil. And of course, you're going to need your bullets. I'm going to be loading some 124 grain extreme bullets, copper plated projectiles. Nice and shiny. So let's change the position of the camera real quick, and we're going to start charging them. So I already, like I said before, I already have my die set up correctly, and if you do want to see a separate video on that, let me know, I can do it for you. But right now, we're just doing the loading. What you're going to do is, being careful not to spill the powder, slip it in, set your projectile on top. With the same amount of force always, push it all the way down until it stops. Now it is key to make sure you get the same amount of force applied. If you vary the force, you're going to vary the seating depth. So we're going to zero this, set it to inches, and check the overall length. I'm setting 1.149 is what I have this set for. And we're rocking right at 1.149. I hope you guys can see that. So it is perfect. Let's run a couple more and check those as we go. Bullet in. This is why you flare the case, so you can get your projectile to see without destroying the walls of the brass. This one, a little bit, if I push it a little harder, you can see it's a little short, but that's a minuscule amount. That's a hundredths of a difference. Now what I do for the first 5, I check it every single time, and then like throwing powder, I do 1 every 10. Look at that, coming out perfect. This one is coming out a little long, so what we're going to do is, now this is not going to give you the true actual bullet overall length, because the ogive for each projectile is going to be slightly different. So if you wanted the true overall length, what you would do is you use a case gauge, which is going to measure from the ogive to the rear of the case, which is going to give you a correct actual one. We're running a little long. It's within the safe specs, so we're going to leave it. These are going to be target rounds, not match grade ammo. So, and the final one, seated well and perfect. There you go, guys. There's that first 5. As you can see, this step pretty easy once you get good with it. I've been reloading over a year now. I've reloaded. I'm getting probably close to 2,000 rounds of 9mm, honestly. And it's really, pistol calibers are very easy to do. It's when you get into rifle is when you start to have more problems. And then we'll do a full reloading session of 223 as well, just so you guys can get a look on that. And I by no means an expert on this, so don't take that way. I'm just saying, I'm not a newbie either. I'm not a rookie here. And everything I tell you guys right now, this is just my personal advice. It's by no means should you follow. You have any obligation to follow it. Always listen to what your reloading manual says. That's your Bible for reloading. You make sure you follow that thing to the T, and you'll be fine. Now, if you have someone that reloads near you, someone that's been doing it all their life, seek them out. Here's the 10th one. And we're on perfect. A little long, I'll take it. Now there you go, guys. I'm going to go through, see up the rest of these bullets, and then we'll show you the crimping stage. Here we are on the final step to reloading 9mm projectiles. So, this step, not everyone does. I do it because that makes me feel better when I'm shooting, and I mean, it takes like 5 minutes when you're really gunning through it pretty fast, and it just gives me peace of mind. So what this is going to do, as you can see here, we got 50 seated projectiles. Now these are ready to fire. You can fire these right now and probably have no issues. Probably. But I enjoy my hands. I like having 5 fingers. I like having working firearms. I like being alive. So I'm not going to take the risk of a gun blowing up and possibly damaging my hands, damaging my face, maybe even killing me. I'm not going to risk it for 5 minutes of my time. So what we're going to do here is we are going to crimp the bullet, along with running it through the Lee factory crimp die. What that does is eliminates any bulges that are going to cause any out-of-battery firings. So sometimes when you reseat the brass, there becomes little bulges in the brass here. When loaded into a magazine, it works fine, but as it gets pushed into the chamber of your gun, in my case, my Smith & Wesson, it doesn't go all the way in battery. What happens is this little bit of brass sticks out of the chamber. So when the firing pin strikes the primer, it doesn't contain the explosion and it blows out the bottom of the top side of the chamber. And I'm sure if you guys have been rolling long enough, you've seen a video or two of someone with a blown up Glock or blown up any really handgun and picture their hands all tore up. That's usually from an out of battery firing. The round firing out of battery, which I don't want to happen, so I run through the Lee factory crimp die, which is going to not only crimp the bullet, which is going to give you more uniform velocity and increase accuracy, along with preventing bullet setback in the case, which I have had happen. So those of you that think that crimping doesn't do anything to hold the seat bullets in place, you're wrong. You're arguing against science. You're simply wrong. Sorry, off on a tangent. Let's get started on this. Don't want to take up your whole day. So what you're going to do is I have my Lee factory crimp die in currently, loaded up. Now this one does take a decent amount of force to get it out, because when you push up, it crimps the bullet in, and when you pull down is when it really crimps the case. It doesn't crimp, but it straightens out the case wall. I don't know how well you guys can see that. I don't even think you can, but there's a light ring around the bullet. That is from the bullet getting crimped in. Now I do a very light crimp. That's why I don't dent the extreme bullets, because extreme bullets are very easily dent. So that is one fully loaded cartridge, and it goes over here into the case. Do a couple more. See, that's literally how fast it is. And you can see the light ring right there, and the bell is out of the case. Also, when I flare my brass, I flare a little more than I need to, just to not have to worry about crushing the brass, and this takes that flare out. So when you push up, it's crimping the case mouth, and when you pull down, it's straightening out the brass, any bumps or anything like that. And that's beautiful. And there. See, if you get going on this, you can go really fast. I'll try to go as fast as I normally go when I'm in a hurry. Because this isn't a precise thing. There's no right or wrong amount of force you need. You push it all the way up till it stops. You push it all the way down till it stops. So as you guys can see, this you can really fly through this, and this does not take much time. So I don't get people that don't crimp, that don't run it through a factory crimp die. It's one of probably Lee's best invention, best product. Now, in that time I've been talking, I'm already 13 down. And there's number 15. Perfectly crimped, safe to fire cartridge. Got 3.8 tight group, 3.8 grains of tight group in there, 124 grain projectile, CCI primer, some Winchester brass. These are ready to shoot. Show you this box real quick. What I do? These come with all the boxes you buy. I just put the caliber, the bullet, and amount of powder in there, just so I know exactly what I'm shooting. And that is basically it, guys. Hope you guys enjoyed this brief, not really a brief, but this detailed look on how I reload 9mm. If you have any questions, feel free to post them in the comments, message me, whatever. Now this is not the end-all be-all for loading. I didn't go into a lot of the steps along with setting up the dies. If you want that, let me know, guys. I'll be glad to make the video. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Hope you guys learned something useful today. As always, YouTube, hope you have a beautiful day. How's it going, YouTube? Hope you guys enjoyed the video today. I want to throw in a little disclaimer at the end of this video, just to basically cover myself. Do not use this video as your primary source for reloading 9mm. I know what I'm doing. I've read countless reloading manuals. I've had help from people that have been reloading for years. And still, there's always a chance of mistakes. Trust your reloading manual. They're your Bible. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to ask. Don't do something because you thought you saw me do it. I'm not an instructor. This video is for entertainment purposes only, and hopefully you guys learned a little bit from it today. So, hope you guys enjoyed the video. Once again, they look quite beautiful, I know. Just follow your reloading manuals and be safe. I mean, I learned basically through YouTube and reloading manuals in general. You guys can do the same thing. Just make sure you're careful and make sure you're smart about it. All YouTube, beautiful day.